is there an advice or something that your dad has said to you about dating or relationships that you have kind of kept for yourself or kept with you?
Oh, yeah. There's this one where my dad's, where I said he's pretty funny. I think we were complaining about just men in general, or just like how hard it is for dating, and how some men are kind of sneaky. And my dad's like, that's right. And he's like, you'll never know how good a man is until he's dead. And he was like,
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Real and Relatable podcast. I'm Ma.
I'm AJ.
I'm Elsie.
My name is Cash.
And in today's episod for Father's Day, we decided to do a Father's Day episode.
Celebrating all the men in our lives.
Yeah. Love them.
Most important men.
Yeah, our first relationship with men, basically. So to get started, let's just go with, what is your relationship like with your father? Anyone can go first.
Yeah, I could start. I think that my relationship with my father now as an adult has come full circle. I think it's been really great, and I've learned a lot from him. And I think about the struggles him and my mom had with one another, and I appreciate him a lot more and some of the decisions he's made now that affect and impact me as a I guess a kid, and then now as an adult.
Okay.
Because a lot of choices that my dad made, I think my mom was not really happy with. And I think she had some complaints, and she let us kids know it as well. And so I think at first when you're young and as a kid, you're impressionable and you care for your mom too. And then maybe you see your dad as such. As I've become more career oriented, work in the world, grown as an adult, had life experiences, I was like, okay, now I understand why my dad made some choices, you know. And then a lot of it was like choosing our family over maybe monetary things or financial things, you know, that my mom might not have been really happy about. So I think that now I see my dad as like a wiser man and a better man in regards to him being a father and maybe a husband to my mom.
Because you chose family over career.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I think that I've grown up and realized I think my dad made some really hard, really hard choices in life. And I don't think I would have been able to make those choices, you know. So it was very selfless of him as well. So yeah, I love my dad. He's really great. I respect him as a man now, and not that didn't before, but you know,
Wasn't always the same, Daddy-o.
I mean, now that you're not that teenager anymore.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go out.
You're disrespectful to your parents.
Yeah. Every kid most kids are disrespectful to their parents.
Yeah, but now I see him in a different light, and so I appreciate him a lot more.
Yeah. I think my relationship with my dad's pretty similar to yours. I think growing up, I didn't understand all the discipline and stuff, and we're children of immigrants, right? So I do give both of my parents a lot of grace in regards to how we grew up as children, because in our generation, we got our ass beat, okay?
Yeah.
All the time. All the time, okay? All the time, okay?
Not in my family.
I didn't either.
Oh, okay.
I'm so glad. Except for one night.
Okay.
You guys are lucky.
Yeah. As I grow up, I realize, they're doing the best that they can. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to save you from all of the mistakes that they made as a child. We're in a new country. They're trying to give you all of the opportunities that they didn't have. And you don't realize it until you're an adult, that they're doing the best that they can. And so,
Exactly.
So I do forgive them for all of their child abuse from back then. And it's
The trauma.
But you
back
know
then,
what? Even though I didn't go through that, and sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
that's
I do see it as kind of like a protection, like immigrant parents and discipline and protection, because it's not out of nowhere that they're just abusing kids like what you hear on the news sometimes these days.
You're right.
Is different, for our
Yeah, they're just not they're just
Create boundaries.
beating your ass because
for no reason. Yeah, no.
it's
probably because you did something wrong.
Yeah,
you did something wrong.
To do what you
yeah.
did, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know. I agree. I agree. It was like that. But I think my relationship with my dad, I think it didn't get better until I got older, just similar to yours. I think when I was younger, I was just kind of like, why are you trying to ruin my life? You know? It was very...
I love sleepovers.
Okay, I didn't get sleepovers. I never got sleepovers.
With cousins or
No. Oh, no.
okay.
No. I think the latest I was ever able to be out was maybe 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, I got...
Oh,
I got
good.
Your parents were strict.
10 o'clock was in trouble. Like 10 o'clock, you better sneak through the back door, or you better climb through the window, or something along those lines. Okay. I think as we got older, and because we have so many siblings, my dad did soften up with all of my younger siblings. So I feel like with all the siblings younger than probably a little bit older than me, but younger than me, got a little more freedom than my older siblings.
Yeah.
Like all my older siblings had it really, really rough.
They paved the way.
Yes. They could not do anything without getting their ass beat.
Oh, wow.
Like they couldn't even go to high school dance without getting their ass beat.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really, really tough for them growing up. So they did pave the way for us. So I do thank them every day. But I understand, like they're just trying to protect you too, you know. But he did soften up, and I really got to know more of who my dad was later on in life, because I didn't realize my dad was actually a really funny person and a very like goofy, very laid back person, and just really enjoyed just joking around and
that's a lot of the traits you have.
Yeah, I know, but you don't realize that until later. I feel like now thinking back, I wish I would have spent more time with him. You know, it's like so much time lost because there's such a gap in language too. Because I'm fluent enough, but not fluent to like have a full on like deep conversation. And especially when you grow up not having that connection with your parents, it's like, how do you even have
or create
that?
it? Yeah.
How do you even have that conversation with them? It feels awkward. Like I'm trying to connect, but I don't know how to connect. You know, I want to connect, but I don't know how to connect. So other than just hanging out with you, I don't know any other way. You know.
Yeah.
And I just wish that when I was younger, I would have built a better relationship.
Yeah.
Not that I had a bad one with my dad, because he gave me a lot of good advice, and he was a good dad.
I am probably exactly like my father. He's very strong-willed. He, you know, like you never have to question him. Whatever he decides, it's done. You know, he's very strong. So I had a lot of respect for him growing up, and even to this day, even more to this day, actually, now that I've learned more about him. But yeah, I think he, again, you know, being immigrants, education was really important to him because he never had that opportunity, right? Back in the old country, like he was the man of the house when he turned 13 because his dad, my grandpa, passed away when he was like 13, 14. And he had one older brother that was sent to school in Thailand and then the States. So he was like the man of the house, and he was basically making decisions with my grandma. And they orchestrated the whole family to get here, like all my aunts and uncles to come to the States. Like my oldest uncle was in the States, and then my other uncle came, and then they were like, okay, we're going to get the whole family out here. Yeah. And once he got here, he was like, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get all my kids through college. Everyone's going to be a lawyer or a doctor. And like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do everything in my power to build the best life possible for my family and my children. So I have a lot of respect for him as a man. I have a lot of his genetics, like, physically and I think mentally.
Yeah.
We're both like,
Yeah, if you guys watch our episode, she's like, I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody.
I'm very independent, just like him. Very strong-willed, just like him. So when we get along, it's great. When we don't, we bump heads.
Wow.
But there's still like a lot of respect there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a man, he's definitely an example of a man for me, and I always look for that. When I'm dating or guy friends or whatever, they have to be masculine. They have to be able to make decisions, just because that was the example that I grew up around. And also I'm like that, so I expect my partner to have those qualities. Yeah, in terms of so being a father, he was great, and being a provider, he's great. I think the thing that I struggled with growing up was that his relationship with my mother, that's like a whole different thing. So I wish I had a better example of what a strong, loving relationship with your partner was. But in terms of what a man should be and what a provider should be, he was all of that. Yeah, so I think there was a lot of love and respect there. I think I just couldn't understand the relationship between my parents growing up, but now I do. Now I do as an adult, because I think as you get into your own romantic relationships, you realize it's very complicated. Therefore, I can't knock him for any decisions that he made, because he needs to follow his heart and do what's going to make him happy, because that's what I'm going to do. No one's going to tell me who I'm going to love, and therefore no one can tell him who he should love, right? So those are the realizations that I've made as an adult to kind of come to that understanding of my parents' relationship. But me and him, there's a lot of love and respect. But I think, again, because we're Asians, we don't really show that. It's always like a little bit more distant.
I do want to get into the relationship piece of it too, but before we get into it, I want you to answer the question too.
My relationship with my dad is a really loving and beautiful one, and of course, similarly, it got better as I got older. I think I was always very argumentative and rebellious, but as I got older, I understood how to meet people more than halfway. I understood that if I wanted a relationship, sometimes I have to bend, and I have to be the one with a bigger heart. And so, with my dad, I just really admire him, because he's somebody who is very much charismatic and a visionary, and he's very he used to go out and talk to people when we were kids, just make conversations at the movie theater, at the restaurants. And I would be so irritated. I'd be like, oh my God, Dad, you're so embarrassing. Because he would just be friends with everybody. He had a Lao ambassador friend that came to visit Minnesota. He went driving. He went driving on the ice. He took the Lao ambassador on the ice, and he just went knocking on people's doors.
Wait, but you do know you're like that too, right?
Am I?
Yeah. In case you didn't know, you do know you're really friendly and you talk to everyone.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I do.
And you're very welcoming, and you're like hosting everybody.
True. Yeah. That's very true.
Sometimes I do. Yeah.
But
he was doing like Facebook Live, and he was like just knocking on the door, and then some white fisherman was just like, come on in, and just sat them down and just showed them how to ice fish and all that stuff. And I'm watching on Facebook Live. I'm just like, oh my gosh, my dad, why are you doing this? It's so, but it's like, it's kind of cute, and like, it's so sweet, he's just got such a really innocent, like, big heart, so as I got older, I think especially when I moved to LA, I tried to make up for the distance. So I'm like, how can I love my parents more? So I try to make up for the distance by trying to love them more in any way I can, see possible, and try to understand their love language too. But, speaking of love language, my dad, his love language is acts of services. So when I was, like me and my ex broke up, I moved back to go live at home because we were living together. And when I would go to work, it would snow back in the Midwest, and my dad would knock on my door and be like, honey, get up. It's time to go to work. Give me your car keys. And then he would take the car keys and start the car and shovel the snow and like warm up the car for me and like just basically make sure that I could just get up and get ready and go to work, you know? Like it's just so loving. And so acts of services, it's really impacted like my love language because that was how I was receiving it, you know? Similarly to you, Elsie, that, you know, maybe is a little bit hard for me is our parents come up in a different generation. Watching my mom and dad, their love story is really inspiring. But at the same time, to me, it can be very confusing too at times because it's just, you know, like our family is whole, but it doesn't come without its problems. You know what I mean? But I think that's everybody, you know, like no family is perfect. Everybody has crazy holiday parties, Thanksgiving, Christmas parties where there's so much love, but there's so much like, you know, like, oh, okay, here we go again. You know, like, here we go again. Everyone flies in and they're like, why are we here again? You know, so I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, we just kind of dig deep to see what it is that makes our family unique and special. And my dad and I, we when I went home last month, we had a talk and I was upset and I spoke with him and I was just like, I called him out. Okay. Remember we went to Thailand and remember how like I wanted to go to my grandpa's burial space. Yeah. I called him out because I was like, Dad, you tell me that you want to show me the space. I make the effort to come to Thailand for you, you know, but you don't have time for me. Yeah. Because you're doing all these other things. So don't sit here and say you want me to go see the space and lead. I was there, you know, but you didn't show up. I'm not going to go by myself, you know? So there's like things where I wish that we would talk more like that heart to heart and hold each other responsible and call each other out, right? Yeah. Because that's how we get better. And the whole time I was talking, he just sat there and he had watery eyes. And he was like just watery eyes. And he was so good about it. He didn't argue. He was just like, yeah, you're right. You know? Yeah. So like he was listening. Yeah. And I appreciate that. Yeah. So I think that we just all have to have those talks, like the hard conversations.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think I definitely have to have some like good hard conversations with my dad and my mom and how like I've changed as an adult and what my expectations are. And like you create boundaries too with your family, you know, because I have parents that are helicopter parents, right? So they want to get into business, into everything and tell you everything, what to do and how you live your life, you know, like pick what kind of job and stay in that type of job and then stay in that relationship or pick this guy, you know? And so at sometimes you're like, dude, like I have my own feelings, my own brain, you know, who I am, you know, like I know who I am. Like I don't need you telling me, you know? And so having really tough conversations like that with your dad is, I think, very and different and challenging, especially like our Asian relationships, right? With like our parents, where they're kind of not stoic, but it's not very affectionate, right? And so it's not that you can have those, or you feel comfortable having those talks, you know? Yeah. And so I'm sitting down and actually telling them, hey, I'm vulnerable. I want to tell you who I am. I'm no longer your little baby daughter. That you have to make a decision. Yeah. You know, I can date this guy, and even though it's a bad decision, like you have to allow me, you know? Exactly. You know, so, you know, and it takes them to grow up too and kind of relinquish some of that, you know?
I've had conversations with Latin friends and they're like, what? Your parents aren't like that? You don't talk to them? You're not
I know,
friends?
right?
You don't hug? You don't kiss?
Yeah.
You know, and I know
we're Asian.
We're Asian.
We hold everything back.
Yeah, we hold everything back. And
we barely touch each other.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's not the culture. Yeah. And I said, but they will, their last dime, their last dollar, the shirt on their back, they will give to you. You know? I didn't have to work. I didn't even have to work in college. They like paid for everything, did everything for me while you tell me that your parents love you, but as soon as you turn 15, 18, they're like, you better get a job, you know?
Yeah.
Like my Latin friends are like that. You better get a job. You better help to pay for you got to buy your own car. You got to do your own thing. Different kind of upbringing, but very loving for them, you know, very loving, very affectionate, physically, emotionally, while Asian families were not so much. But they really they show love
in other
by
ways.
Providing.
You got food,
protecting.
right?
Yeah.
And you got a roof over your head.
Yeah, exactly.
You're living, right?
You didn't die. You didn't die.
I know. Yeah, exactly. What does that mean? Did you die?
Did you die?
That meme is so accurate.
Exactly. Yep, for our family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I do want to touch on what Elsie said, because I know Elsie said that she tends to go for men who have the same provider type mentality like her dad. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys tend to date guys who have similar qualities to who your father is? Because I will say, I think I'm my dad and I date people like my mom.
Really?
That's deep. That's deep.
They need to know some details. Yes, they need to know some details.
Yeah. Because okay, I was talking this over with MB, one of our other previous hosts who used to be on here. But I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I realized, because my dad is very, very loyal to my mom, loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
To the point where he enables all of her poor decisions, all of her narcissistic behavior, and everything like that. And I was like, I'm like that. I'm loyal to the point where I just accept all of these poor behaviors, and I just let them walk all over me, and it just hope that all my love is enough.
Will be enough.
Wow.
Yeah. And just love me back, stay with me. That's all matters. But I'm like, oh my God, I'm my dad and I date people like my mom. But that's so sad. I was like, I prefer to date people with my dad's qualities. I want somebody who's loyal to me, you know?
Yeah.
Who's going to enable my poor behaviors, okay?
When did you realize this?
And be accepting through it all. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be loyal. I want them to be loyal to me. Okay?
Yeah. I don't want them to be the crazy one.
Yeah.
I want to be the crazy one.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you realize this, though?
Yeah.
When did you realize this?
Probably just a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
That's
I always knew that and my loyalty is pretty similar to my dad. Like I always knew that we love someone, or if we say that this is my friend, or we say this is my significant other, or this is somebody I say I care about, we are ride or die till the end.
Yeah, that can set you up. That can set you up.
But then I didn't realize I was dating people like my mom until recently.
And you're choosing to ride or die with those people. You're not choosing to ride or die with a healthy person. You're choosing to ride or die with a crazy person.
Yeah.
At least now you know. Are you gonna make use of this information?
I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna. I'm like, I want to change, and I don't want to date narcissist people, but I don't know. It's like, it's like, how do you date somebody like you too? You know, it's like it would be a change.
Yeah.
See, that's where we're a little bit different in that I'm exactly like my father, but I also expect my partner to be exactly like my father, or
yeah,
yeah. But of course, with the loyalty in there, which I typically find, just because for some reason my radar is like on that, you know, So I don't know,
That's really interesting, because it's like you take what you know and you apply it how you want to.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for a version of your mom.
No.
You're like your dad, but you're looking for a version like your dad.
I'm super conscious about not being like my mother.
Okay.
And so maybe that's why I'm conscious about not wanting to be like my mother. Because
no, I don't want to be like my mother either.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But you date them. But you date them.
I date them.
Yeah.
I don't love them.
That's probably not good.
Let's not try to love them anymore, okay, Mom?
It's better to be like your mom in this case.
Yeah. Maybe you need to be a little bit more crazy.
Yeah. My mom is very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, very quiet. You met her. You know, she doesn't say too much, you know, and so I'm like, nope, I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm going to be super independent. I will never need a man, you know, I would never need anyone, you know, so
but
It might not be a good quality, you know, to have.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah,
But yeah, okay.
it is.
but but I'm sure you can sense that your mother probably has a quiet strength,
Yeah, no shit.
right? Like a strong, quiet
Yeah.
quiet strength in her.
Yeah.
So we'll say that for Mother's Day.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, for me, I've recognized it. I think my dad's kind of a lone wolf too, and he's a stoic man. I mean, there's a part of him that he's very affectionate. And I discovered he's actually a really funny, sarcastic guy. I think as I gotten older. But I do find myself initial attraction to men who are lone wolf and really like stoic.
Is your current boyfriend like that way?
Yeah, there's a part of him like the stoic is
Yeah.
like, there's
Yeah.
that part of him that's kind of like that quiet,
Unbothered.
unbothered. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And he prefers to also be alone and die alone. Like,
Dang.
yeah, he's kind of like,
We're always going to be alone.
yeah, he's
We
like,
came
I
into
don't
the
need
world.
you.
Okay, well, bye. Okay.
Bye, yeah.
It's better to be in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm working
Yeah.
towards it. Okay, I'm working towards the dying alone. All right. But yeah, so I feel like definitely I'm initially attracted to men like that.
Initially. Okay,
Initially.
I need more.
Yeah, well, I feel like I like them. There's a sexy quality about them. But there's the mysterious sexy quality, right? But then I also find that I'm an extrovert too, and
yeah.
there's kind of like this like conflict or this push and pull
Yeah.
where I like to go out and I like to meet my friends and
Yeah.
do these social things.
Yeah.
And my partners tend to not like
Yeah.
to go out and be sociable. So that kind of is like not what I imagine as a partner for me. I like my partner to kind of go out with me as well and experience things. You know, right now the boyfriend and we have reached like some sort of compromise too, where he'll go out with me, but most of his days he'll choose to stay at home and just kind of recuperate that way because he's kind of an introvert too. So, and I'm kind of allowing that to happen, right? Because the only person you can change is yourself. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of saying, okay, all right, like weeknights, you know, I'll stay in or I'll go out with my friends, and then weekends, you know, if we both want to go out, we can, or if you want to stay in, then most likely we're going to stay in and I'm going to be okay. My weekends are going to be mostly in,
Yeah.
you know. Well, when we were younger and 20, our weekends were busy, crazy, going out every weekend, you know.
Yeah.
And that's totally the opposite now, you know. And plus we're older too, right?
Yeah.
So we do go to sleep around 10 or whatever, you know. But I think definitely kind of changing that lifestyle.
And you're okay with that compromise?
Yeah, I mean,
that.
I think it was a struggle initially. I think those are one of our like bigger fights, I think too. But I think that now that we've kind of compromised and he's at a good place where he's willing to go out with me and my friends. And then I'm willing to like stay home on the weekends, you know, and he can recuperate and stay and do what he wants to do, you know. So I think it's always going to be an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the best we can do and to make it a healthy relationship, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all different. So as long as you guys are compromising, there's give and take on both sides.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sometimes I choose the negativity of the dynamics, you know, subconsciously. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm familiar with this. It's maybe not good for me, but I'm familiar with it. You know, I've seen that. But I also see the positives. Like I choose men who do acts of services. I like men who are charismatic, like my dad, you know, men who are talkative. I like men who they have a big personality, you know, and they're a leader, you know, they're a go-getter.
Yeah.
I like men like that. Sometimes I'll choose a shy guy. Because of the mystery, but those don't turn out well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I do. I don't know, but sometimes I think that maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's always going to be.
I think
Trial and error.
Because
right? Like recognizing the qualities that you like and the qualities that you don't like, and then making sure you see it in your partner and cancel people out quickly if
Yeah.
they don't have
yeah.
policy.
I think
the good.
if anything, it's about being self-aware, you know, and
Yeah.
knowing if you make certain decisions or you see certain patterns,
Yeah.
recognize it.
Yeah.
And then if you recognize it, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
And is it serving or is it not serving? And if it's not serving, let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Relationships, okay, we're talking about the guy, but it's two ways, right? It's
Yes.
me too, you know?
It's us.
I need to work on myself.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So
I don't know
it's
what you're
now
talking about.
Yeah.
I'm already perfect. Remember, I picked narcissist.
That's true.
You love the narcissist. They deserve love too.
Maybe I'm the narcissist here. Okay. I'm the problem.
No. Okay. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up with one last thing. I do want to ask you guys: is there an advice or something that your dad has said to you about dating or relationships that you have kind of kept for yourself or kept with you?
Oh yeah. There's this one where my dad's where I said he's pretty funny. I think we were complaining about just men in general, or just like how hard it is for dating and you know, all this stuff and how some men are kind of sneaky. And my dad's like, that's right. And he's like, you'll never know how good a man is until he's dead. And he was like,
Dang.
and I was like, Marion. He was like, because after they're dead, everything will come out about who they really are.
But it's too late.
And then you would know if he was a good man or not. So you cannot really judge a man while he's still alive, because he would still betray you until he's dead, right? Like, so there's
Oh
that chance
my
that he could betray you. So my dad's like, yeah, that's the truth. And I was like, wow, that's some deep and hurtful, but that's funny, Dad.
It is funny. But it's like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Well, that
How
means,
can I apply that?
are you supposed to just not date anyone?
Right?
No, I think it's just the reality of it, right? Is that just understand that both of you guys are human beings, and there's gonna be a time and place where one person or both will betray one another, and then you know, it may end things, or it may help you guys repair or not, and you know, and then you die.
So after your husband dies, then you're like, I hope it turns out like he was all right.
Have another wife somewhere else.
Let's hope it was a good person.
No children from other countries.
Yeah. Something you hope and wish. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I hope that's not the. I hope that's the reason. I think mine would be, so before I moved to LA, this was after I broke up with my long-term relationship, and I was before I was moving to LA. I think my dad knew I was kind of like dating around, and he's like, oh, you know, I just want to tell you that you don't need to do anything for a guy. If a guy really, really likes you,
Really?
he will do anything to see you and be with you. He goes, because I will tell you this, your mom lived 3 villages away. Your mom lived 3 villages away, and it didn't matter what time of night it was, how many ghosts there was on the road. I still walk that dark path every day just to see your mom, even if it was only for 3 to 5.
This sounds like you.
Yeah.
This is you.
Yeah, he goes, even just to see her for 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
It was enough. And he goes, that's because I liked her enough and I want to be with her enough. So he goes, so I'm telling you, as a guy, if he really likes you, he will do anything to be with you, no matter what it is. Wow. And he goes, so you don't need to try so hard. And I was like, okay. And that, people, is why I don't pay for the first date.
You've been
When
warned.
you
You've been warned.
start noticing that you're trying too hard, even thinking too hard about what you're gonna wear to impress him, immediately it's a red flag. Immediately I'm like, no, this is not gonna work. You know?
Oh, dang. That's deep.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think after my dad said that to me, I will say, I mean, it's not like my expectations have already, after I broke up with my ex, has already risen after that. But I think after my dad said that to me, I feel like I set up even more expectations, making it even harder to date. But I don't think my dad's wrong, you know?
No,
like, he's a man. He
There's
knows.
nothing wrong with
He
standards.
knows.
Yeah,
he knows
he's telling you to have standards.
He knows how. Yeah. He's telling me to have standards and boundaries.
Exactly.
In terms of being like having that close like father-daughter relationship. I remember distinctively 3 times that he's ever addressed like my relationships. One is not like so much addressing, but like a father knows. And maybe in college, I like I was dating somebody and we broke up, and I called my mom like crying, and she was like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" I was like, "Everything." "Oh yeah, you know, I have a math test coming up, and it's just really, really hard." And you know, like I'm crying.
Yeah.
And my father's on the phone too, and he's like, "Nope, something's wrong. Something's wrong with my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, get to the bottom of it. It's not
Not the math. It's not the
yeah,
class.
yeah.
But he knew, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting, like the father's instinct, you know. And
Did he go beat up the boy?
no, he just like made sure my mother like addressed that whatever's going on, it's okay, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, there's nothing to worry about it, you know. I could hear him talking in the background to my mother, you know. And then the first time he ever sat down to talk to me was before I went to study abroad in Italy. He like basically sat down and said, and he's never said this before, "You are very beautiful. When you are going away, I'm not going to be there to protect you. And men are going to try to hit on you and date you. And you can choose anyone that you want. So be choosy, be picky, and be careful." That's the only time he's ever addressed like anything. Another time was like after my divorce. I came home and we were sitting at the dinner table, and I was like, "Dad, I don't really know. Like I feel disappointed, you know, blah blah. Maybe I'm gonna just be alone. Maybe I won't remarry, blah blah. You know, like you're probably disappointed in me." He's like, "No, it's okay. Everybody, like in our culture, we talk about like everybody has a ladder. Everybody has like a path. Everybody has a, you know, and he basically was like, everybody has a path. And if you meet someone, great. And if you don't, it's fine too, because that's your path. So I'm not disappointed in you. Just continue to live your life, and be happy, you know." So I feel like those were like, you know, we don't really have personal conversations, but him being a father and giving those like just little nuggets when you really need them was impactful to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna close with you.
Yeah. For me, I think that my dad, he gives me little sprinkles along the way. The most impactful direct advice he gave me was when my sister got married. She got married really young, I think like maybe 23. And he just came to me, and I think that like a lot of things were happening that I didn't even realize was happening to me. But he came to me and he said, "Your luck is different. Your path is different. Your journey looks different." You know, and I was like, "Okay, Dad, I don't care," because you know, at 24, I didn't want to get married. It mattered nothing to me. I didn't care. I was proud to be single and not married, because to me, I didn't want to be a statistic, get married young, have kids young, none of that. But then later I realized, you know, he probably was sensing, in case I was thinking, gosh, my younger sister got married first, he wanted to provide me with that. So that
that comfort.
Some comfort.
like just in case, so that I don't feel any way, you know what I mean? And then some other things that he says, he's so poetic the way he speaks. And
they are when
so
they
poetic.
speak in
it's like
that
so,
language.
so romantic and amazing, you know. But my dad has always said, "I don't worry about my kids. The fruit or the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I don't have to worry that much."
I love that.
You know, like I don't have to worry that much. I know that they're going to be wise enough to come back and, you know, find their way. You know, so it's just little things like that. Some really direct things were when he told me to break up with the ex
Airy?
that rhymes with airy. You know, very direct. He's just, sometimes I wonder if he has a sixth sense.
They know. I feel like they know.
Because sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, he has to have a sixth sense. The way he speaks in rhythms and patterns and poems, and it's just symbolic. It's just, I wonder, you know, it's just kind of really powerful.
I think guys know guys, right?
Yeah.
Men knows how other men act and how they respond. So
Yeah.
they're just speaking from their own point of view as well. So
Yeah.
but all right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all for sharing your stories, and your relationship with your father. I think for some people, maybe a difficult relationship. We hope that it is a positive one for most of you. But we just wanted to just shed some light on the fathers for Father's Day, just because I feel like sometimes maybe they don't get enough credit for being fathers.
Shaping our lives.
And we want to do one for Mother's Day too, of course. But we our relaunch didn't make it in time for the Mother's Day one, but we definitely will do one specifically for mothers as well. We do want to shine a light on it, even though my mom's a narcissist, but that's a different story. I still love her.
Unconditionally.
Yeah, I still love her very unconditionally. But other than that, thank you guys all for joining us today. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll see you in another episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.